I think that one of the things that interested me is I don't think we've calculated nearly enough the incompetence of Russia. And when I hear about the Russian capacity militarily on this, it's astonishing to me how many mistakes they've made and continue to make mistakes.
They can't fuel their vehicles. They can't feed their troops. They have people abandoning them. These long lines, it's just mindless. I mean, I don't think the line could be 100 miles long. If you knock out the first 4 or 5 tanks, suddenly, suddenly you've decapitated or incapacitated the motorcade.
All you need is a knife or a nail.
Yeah, exactly right. Not high tech, right?
You don't need to go. But the point about Russian incompetency is really interesting, because it would seem to me that maybe that would seem to me make a no-fly zone much easier. I mean, you can't really expect the Russians are going to come and attack us in DC or New York if they can't go 40 miles to Kyiv. But I guess the concern is that he'll use nuclear weapons. But I mean, what happens if he uses chemicals in Ukraine, which is now being talked about? Are we going to stand by? I mean, there's an interesting thing that, Craig, what you said about Biden is really interesting, because I just think Biden is, he's a man of the Senate. He negotiates. He's a man of process. And sort of what he's doing is, in public view now, he's going through the process of negotiating with our allies, and it's been successful in bringing people together to a point. But what it doesn't give is the mission. It doesn't tell you what you're trying to do, and that's the part of leadership that is really important. And even though, as you know, it doesn't always bring a great political end, but it's what George H.W. Bush did. He both had the mission and he was able to do the process.
Yeah, you're right. And I think what must be going on, because obviously we have very capable pilots and aircraft to enforce a no-fly zone, it must be the case that he's trying to bring NATO along each step of the way.
Right.
And there may be reluctance there. They may feel more vulnerable. If that should happen. So that's what I'm watching, to see if escalation is needed, which it wouldn't be needed if he uses chemical weapons. Where will Europe go? And it's the strength of what Biden has done is to hold the NATO alliance together on this.
Yes.
But it's also the liability he has, because once we get out front and start getting criticized again, success in a way has been defined by holding the alliance together. Right. Suddenly the alliance fractures, thought leaders here will begin to be highly critical of the administration.
Well, but that's true, but that's very true. But the other problem with success being defined by holding the alliance together is as the atrocities continue, people say, that's sort of a silly marker. But, it's, as I was thinking, I'm trying to figure out why we stopped that jet transfer. And I think you just gave me the answer. And that answer is that no European country wants the jets flying from their country into Ukraine. The Poles, I mean, it'd be easy to, they just take some of the refugees and give them the planes and say, fly back. I mean, it's a 40-minute flight at most. But they wanted to give them to the U.S., so it would be U.S. The U.S. it would be off a U.S. base, but it will also be in Germany. And my guess is the Germans weren't particularly eager to have the planes go from German soil to Ukraine.
Oh, I wondered when we've all seen the stories of what are essentially mercenaries, Americans, Europeans, Canadians, going there to fight. This is something, these people are trained to do, and it's what they want to do. And this is a live war. There are a lot of pilots, trained to
Yeah.
fly fighter airplanes. And it wouldn't take much I'm sure, to get some of these men and maybe women into a fighter jet. And that would be kind of wild too. So you said it at the top of this, Al. We just don't know what's going to happen. We're not really in control of the situation,
Right.
which is a difficult thing for us.
I think one of the great mysteries right now is what China does, because they've been looking, they're trying to carefully avoid the whole thing, but they hate this kind of instability. And they're not going to be able to bankroll Russia either. So you wonder what their threshold will be before they start closing off Russia as well. But that could be forever.
Well, they're surely making the calculation that Mr. Putin is a diminishing figure on the world stage, which probably by their equation means they're doing better.
Yeah. Right. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Great.